Hello dear students, now we have the review of Unit 2, page 15. سلطان لێبێ خوێندکارانی عزیز ئێستا review Unity دووەم بێکەوە شیکارەکەین بێکەوە جوابی پرسیارەکانی ئەینەوە لا پیجی 15. In here we have some exercises, we must answer them carefully. For some of them we must to listen to the audio. After that we can answer them. بۆ هەنێکیان پێویستە گوێ لە ئۆدیۆ کە بگرین ئەو کاتە ئەتوانین جوابی بینەوە. For example, number 1, exercise number 1, we must to listen to the audio, listen to the start of the tutorial, answer the questions. We have 2 questions in here. We must to say which option is right for number 1, which option is right for number 2. What is the main purpose of the tutorial? Okay, we have an audio, we must to listen to the audio. After that we can answer them. بس یەکەم جار گوێ لە ئۆدیۆ کە بگرین ئەو کاتە ئەتوانین وەڵامی ڕاستی بۆ دەستنیشان بکەین. Okay, what's the main purpose of the tutorial? مەبەستی سەرەکی ئەم tutorialە چییە؟ To introduce the tutor بۆ ناساندن و دەستپێکی tutorەکەیە. To give instructions for an assignment. To review this week's lecture. And number 2, when will the tutor give details of the next assignment? Okay, ئایا tutorەکە مامۆستاکە لەکەیە وردەکاری زیاتر ئەدا لەسەر assignmenتی دواتر. In the next week's tutorial, at the start of this tutorial, at the end of this tutorial. Let's listen to this audio and focusing on the options to select the right options for each one. Focus خلينا نسأل option علي كدرا وبزاني كمان راستا والله مي راس دياري بكين. Two point eight.
2.8.
Hi everyone, I think we're ready to start. My name is Mark. Let me just check your names. We have Hassan, Paul, Sarah, Sharon, Louis and Julia, right?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So we'll start by looking at the short assignment I gave you last week. Then we'll spend most of today's session going over this week's lectures. In the last few minutes today, I'll give you instructions for the next assignment, which is due in next week.
You hear this audio, okay? توانيت والله ما كدز نشان كين. Okay, could you select the answer? For number 1, what's the main purpose of the tutorial? He said this lecture is just for reviewing this week's lectures. Okay, it means for number 1, C. Number 2, when will the tutor give details on the next assignment? He said, at the end of this tutorial, at the end of this lecture, I will give you the instructions about next assignment. Check your answers.
2.8.
Hi everyone, I think we're ready to start. My name is Mark. Let me just check your names. We have Hassan, Paul, Sarah, Sharon, Louis and Julia, right?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So we'll start by looking at the short assignment I gave you last week. Then we'll spend most of today's session going over this week's lectures. In the last few minutes today, I'll give you instructions for the next assignment, which is due in next week.
Okay. For number 1, C is the right option, and number 2 also C is the right option. In exercise number 2, in here we have 7 sentences. Okay, we must to reorder them. We must to reorder from number 1 to number 7. which one is number 1, which one is number 2. I will play the audio for you and tell me which one is the number 1. You are going to listen another part of a tutorial predict the order the tutor will advise the students to follow when doing assignments. We must order them. بيصريز بنديان بوكين ليكو تاحو كاميان يكم دانبكن بوتشش تيك أمان when doing assignments. Advice أو ياخد أتوان بلين أو أمش قاريانا لكاتي كدني assignment يكو homework يكا بيست أم خالانة جيبكن كاميان يكما وكاميان كوتايو أخير تاني. I'll play the audio 2.9 to select or to reorder these sentences. Okay, number 1 is do the research, write up the reports, decide on the focus, submit the assignment on Tuesday, divide up the research tasks, put the assignments in a folder, discuss the notes. Listen carefully and tell me which one is number 1, number 2, until the last one. Try to select them. Try to reorder them.
2.9.
So, first you need to decide on your focus for the assignment.
2.9.
Sorry.
So, first you need to decide on your focus for the assignment. Then it would be a good idea to divide up the research tasks in your group. Discuss your notes together once you have completed your research. When you've done that,
2.9.
so, first you need to decide on your focus for the assignment. Then it would be a good idea to divide up the research tasks in your group. Discuss your notes together once you have completed your research. When you've done that, you need to individually write up your reports. Make sure you stay under the 1500 word limit. Submit the assignments to me by 10 o'clock on Tuesday. But before that, one of you should collect all the assignments together and put them in a folder with your group's name on it. Okay. Any questions?
You hear it? Let's reorder them. Number 1, he said, decide on the focus. Number 2, divide up the research tasks. Number 3, do the research. Number 4, discuss the notes. Number 5, write up the reports. 5. Number 6, put the assignments in a folder. And the last one, submit. Submit, it means بيشكش كردني كوتاي the assignment on Tuesday. هذا الرادس يبكيت ل Tuesday. The last one is this one. Okay, check your answers. I'll play the audio again to check it.
2.9.
So, first you need to decide on your focus for the assignment. Then it would be a good idea to divide up the research tasks in your group. Discuss your notes together once you have completed your research. When you've done that, you need to individually write up your reports. Make sure you stay under the 1500 word limit. Submit the assignments to me by 10 o'clock on Tuesday. But before that, one of you should collect all the assignments together and put them in a folder with your group's name on it. Okay. Any questions?
Okay, you hear it. Check your answers. They will be like this. The ordering or sorting for the information will be like this. رخصنا كان ينبو شوي a bit. Next exercise. Exercise number 4. A student needs some information about life at college. Look at the student's notes and write the questions to find out the missing information. In here we have 3 parts of notes. students' note about tutorial, assignment, and presentation. We must write down a full questions for each one, okay? They are not fully completed. We must write down the full questions. For example, how many a week? We must say how many tutorials a week are there? Number 2, room number. That's not completed. We must complete this question. We must say what is the room number for the tutorial? What is the room number for the tutorial? And about assignment, number of essays to write a term. We must say a fully completed question. Pesa persara kan be completed be. We can say how many essays do we have to write a term. Submit email paper. Do we have to submit our assignment by email or paper? And 2 questions about presentation. Use PowerPoint, always in a group. We can say, do we use PowerPoint for the presentations? Okay, and we can say, do we always give a presentations in a group? Okay, I will write down the questions for you. Okay, I wrote the questions for you. Okay, look at the questions from number 1 till number 6, and we have another instructions for this exercise. We must to underline the syllables. Okay, stressed syllables. We must focus on stressed syllables, number 1, and number 2, intonation. Teacher Farhad explained everything. If we have WH question, we must fall down at the end of the questions, and if we have yes no question, we must to raise up at the end. Yes no question, raise up, and WH questions falling down at the end of our intonation. And we must focus on stressed syllables. قاطع مسترسي syllable كان أو شانك جرينجن لرستك دياري أكين underline أكين وهروها intonation أكش دياري أكين أجر yes no question bit أو لكوتايا يعني voice man برس أكينوا وأجر WH question bit fall down أكات. Okay, look at this. How many tutorials a week are there? قاطع ما فوكس أخينا سرشي stress ما لسر how وهروها tutorials a week a bit, because they are the most crucial or important words in this sentence. And number 2, what is the room number? Room number for the tutorial, okay? What is the room number for the tutorial? We must say them in a louder and longer voice. How many essays do we have to write a term? How? We must stress on how and write a term. Okay. In here we have WH questions, and the 3 of the last question from 3 till the last one, 4, 5, 6. They are yes no questions. The last 3 one is yes no question, and the 3 first one is WH question. Okay, do we have to submit our assignment by email or on paper? We focus on what? We focus on submit. We stress on submit. Assignment. email or on paper. And number 5, we focus on do we use PowerPoint, okay, for the presentation. And the last one, do we always give a presentation in groups? Okay. In number 1, number 2, and number 3, okay, the intonation fall down, but in number 4, 5, 6, the intonation raise it up, because these are yes no question, but these are WH questions. That's why 1, 2, 3, at the end the intonation falling down, and the other one raise it up. Don't forget this. Teacher Farhad explained everything about intonation. And that's all about the review of Unit 2 Academic Life. I hope you are being successful in your entire life, and if you have a question you can ask. Don't hesitate, tell me, and you can write a comment below if you have a question. Have a good time. Goodbye.